Hello, my name is Laura, and my research is a behavioral analysis of single-use plastic consumption in Cairo. The problem is pollution is one of the biggest environmental issues that we are facing, and it's also a big problem specifically in Cairo. The aim of this research is to unveil the behaviors and factors to encourage and disencourage the use of single-use plastic among Cairenes, and also to check what are the factors that can influence behavioral change towards a pro-environmental one. The research methodology was based in a literature review, then I created a theoretical framework, and the data collection was qualitative and quantitative through methods like participation observation, interviews, and online surveys. The planet doesn't need money, it needs a behavioral change. So then I will explain the theoretical framework that was divided in two parts. The background concepts related with the problem of consumption and environmental impacts of single-use plastic, and the factors that influence behavioral change. These theories are the main focus of the research, and they are divided in four aspects: demographics, theoretical planning behavior, chief framework, and measures. My case of a study is Cairo, a city that runs in single-use plastic. But I want to give like a big picture, and it's Egypt and the plastic, the current situation. So if the country consumes like almost 6 million tons of plastic, more of the plastic waste is mismanaged, and it's the biggest plastic polluted in the region. And it has a lack of proper waste management system, but even though the environmental awareness is increasing, the Egyptian plastic waste is a local problem with global implications. Why single-use plastic? Because there are items that we are using for few minutes and they take like thousands of years to break down. And why in Cairo? Because it's the most common plastic litter that you can see in the streets. More of them that are thin, low quality, that are free to use, that are massive, daily consumed, and there is an all of accumulation in the street and park and trees and even in the pyramids. And also because the shape of parachute and its light weight is blow away really easy. So now from the findings, Cairenes have a strong reliance on single-use plastic items, and the way they consume and they dispose is having a big impact in the environment and the dynamics of the city. So basic of my and my observation from different neighborhoods in supermarkets, vegetables market, and fast food chains, I can infer that people pack each product on each type of vegetable in individual bags, even if there are small things. They are taking the plastic bag, even if they don't intend to use it, just because they are for free. Rejecting single-use plastic bag is strange. People think they are paying for the plastic bag when they're buying a product. One of the biggest findings for me is the customer service culture, that they give excessive distribution plastic bag because they are showing appreciation to the client through this. The overview from the expert is that consumption happens most in hypermarkets, supermarkets, middle and upper class, and there are really convenience products and really cheap to produce. And cultural behaviors and habits is like most of the people storage plastic bag at home. People rely more on transparent bags because they think they are more hygienic and clean than black ones. Low income population use it as a food container, and this doesn't have economical value for the collectors. And all the consumption and disposable of plastic bag is directly related with the lack of proper solid waste management. Also, they have normalized the problem and also normalized the throwaway society. And there is a lack of environmental education, contextual information in the local language, and specifically also governmental willing. There are some initiatives through NGOs, expat, also bans single-use plastic in other regions in Egypt. Also a policy proposal of banning the free distribution of single-use plastic bags, but the law implementation in Cairo is a pretty complex process. The micro overview from the online survey. So the sample that I have is like young adults with a university degree for a middle upper class, and they have a high consumption of plastic bag. For example, 91 participants use an average 10 plastic bags per week. That means almost 1,000 bags per week, and there is a huge amount for a extremely small portion of the whole population of Cairo. They normally receive it, all the bags in supermarkets. They reuse it like once or two in their homes, like for the garbage, for example. They know about reusable bags, but they don't use them really often. They also think that the plastic are collected and recycled. That is a wrong assumption. They know they go to landfill or the environment. And also they have a proper level of environment because they know there is a big negative impact of plastic in the environment, and also they know there is a big issue in Egypt, and they know they have their own responsibility as a consumer. They are willing to change just if there is a ban of distribution of this item, or if they can see um, the environmental benefits, the current behavior and predictors of change. So this is the discussion, and then here I analyzed the findings through the lens of the theoretical framework. So I took the first section, I confronted with the factors. So the yellow ones are the factors that influence current behavior, and the green ones are the factors that might influence behavior towards sustainable one. So the factors that influence behavior, so in a macro overview, general population has a lack of tangibility factor. In a micro overview, the educated young adults has a proper level of awareness, more sensible and more interest in environmental issues. And regarding the theory of planet behavior, they say that the predictor factors can lead to the intention to manifest sustainable behavior, even though they are not reducing the consumption of plastic bags. And this can be because the consequence of pro-environmental behavior at distance, take time, they are not tangible, there are enough motivation, or the social norms doesn't encourage to adopt this kind of behavior. Related with the sociocultural and consumption behavior, so we have this good level of awareness and good attitude, but the consumption patterns are really different. Even though they have a perceived behavioral control really strong, it means they have the tools to change the behavior. But even though it doesn't happen, so it means like more education doesn't necessarily lead to a pro-environmental behavior, and a favorable attitude doesn't mean behavioral change. The contextual behavior of Kairenes is repetitive, social accepted, is encouraged through social norms, habits, and beliefs. They live in a throwaway society that is already accepted because people follow the behaviors of others as well. And the normalization of the use of single-use plastic and plastic pollution is not just socially accepted, but is also related with external factors like waste management, industry, and government. So the application of the theory of planet behavior, that is a theory that I use to collect data. So it says that a positive attitude towards the reduction of single-use plastic bag plus a strong perceived behavioral control, like the tools, they have knowledge, access to alternatives, economical capacity, it leads to the intention to reduce plastic bags. But from the intention to the execution, there is a gap. So it means that even if they have a strong behavioral intention, it doesn't necessarily lead to the behavioral change. But there are factors that can close this gap, and they can be influenced through awareness campaign with information, learning, and knowledge, for example, about the impacts in health, economics, and environment about plastic, communicating the local impacts, what is happening in the context, for example, and also through positive emotional self-efficacy. That means like empower the people to do more of these behaviors. Policies should be go through incentives and penalties. Alternatives should be affordable and easy to find, like reusable bags. And the most important one is social influence that make the behavior desirable, and also as a social norm. When people know that there are other people doing it, they will follow the behavior. Also, when individuals understand the problems, have the alternatives, an easy way to do it, that I likely start to change the behavior. So the practical recommendations will be that environmental education should play an important role in all kind of schools, also with regular data practice, like clean ups. For example, policies should be implemented through voluntary agreements, And some people can act as the influencer to stimulate the crowd to follow these behaviors. Also, tailor strategies to examine of society. Data should be more accessible. Also, have supermarkets on board. Message frame is really important to communicate that others are already behaving in a sustainable way, and take in account the low income population because they are relying on free assets and use plastic to sell vegetables and food. Thank you so much. Gracias, Ante Shekul.